Jubilee Party has now filed a preemptive petition at the Supreme Court seeking a declaration to uphold President Uhuru Kenyatta's win in the just concluded repeat election. The petitioner, Pokot South MP David Kosing, wants the court to rule that Uhuru was validly elected, despite NASA leader Raila Odinga having withdrawn from the presidential race. Odinga successfully marshalled his supporters to boycott the poll, with the IEBC having failed to conduct elections in 25 constituencies of the former Nyanza province, citing security concerns. NASA has not filed a petition to challenge the election, but civil society groups are likely to challenge the vote before the petition filing window closes this Monday. Well, joining us now by way of phone is the Pokot South Member of Parliament, David Kosing. Many thanks for joining us on KTN News Centre. As we speak, neither the opposition nor any civil society group has filed a petition challenging this election. Don't you think you're jumping the gun by taking this to court, asking it to uphold President Uhuru Kenyatta's victory?
I think what needs to be understood is that this petition is from High Court. This petition was in High Court, remember? This petition was in High Court.
Right.
And I had taken to a High Court because I knew, and what we were doing that time, when NASA wanted to make it impossible for this election to be done. So we went to High Court on constitutional petition, raising very fundamental issues that NASA were planning to subvert election. And let Kenyans understand, what happened on 26 was not a boycott. It was a sabotage. What do you call when there is militia blocking electoral commission from carrying their own activity? What do you call when there is breakages of electoral commission materials? That is not a boycott. Boycott has a connotation of willingness, but that was not willingness. That was actually a design method for them and NASA to try to come back again to court later and try to justify that the election was not done according to the Constitution, and yet they're the ones who broke the Constitution. That was the reason why I went to High Court before election was conducted. But then High Court said, you know what, we don't have jurisdiction to do this, and that is why I have taken it to Supreme Court. Therefore, it is not that maybe people have not taken their petition. This is not an election petition. It's a constitutional petition. Yes, it has not direct bearing to the 7 days, and no, it is from Supreme Court. And understand it this way, and make Kenyans to understand this way. What I am saying, and the 7.4 million people who voted for Uhuru Kenyatta, I want the Supreme Court to understand that if somebody was to come today and challenge the election of President Uhuru Kenyatta, it is themselves that made sure that election was not done according to the principle that they are complaining. So they cannot break laws and then come back to court and seek relief of having broken the law. That cannot happen.
All right.
That cannot happen.
What then do you foresee, or are you expecting the conclusion of this petition?
As soon as possible. Because this is bringing fundamental issues. Fundamental issue number one is that NASA might come to court directly or indirect. They might use civil society organizations. But that's NASA. They cannot lie to us and say, no, we are not going to go, and then use other people. But then who made sure that the election was not done in the 25 constituencies? It is NASA. How did they do? Subversion. Hiring militia to make sure that the Electoral Commission does not do election as per the requirement of the Constitution to do election in 290 constituencies. That needs to be canvassed. The Supreme Court needs to understand that people cannot break the law and then come. What moral high ground do they have to challenge election of Uhuru Kenyatta? In fact, Uhuru Kenyatta should be even have been sworn today or even before, because they are the ones who made everything sure to make sure that there was full subversion in 25 constituencies. They are the people who made wrong. They cannot be allowed to challenge the validity or election of Uhuru Kenyatta. They have no moral high ground.
All right, and that still begs the question, aren't you then jumping the gun with this petition? Why was there not a wait for either the opposition or the civil society to file a challenge to this election? Because
this is not an election petition. It's as simple as that. Number two, it was already something alive. When you are raising issues of subversion, must you wait until somebody complains about subversion? But the question is, did subversion occur? Yes. How many constituencies? 25. Did we see violence? Yes. Did we see militia? Yes. Making sure that about 2 million people in Nyanza never voted. It was not the willingness of the people of Nyanza. The militias made sure that they never voted. Did that occur? Yes. So what are you waiting? That must be reported. That must be captured in record. Whether people want to go for an election petition or not, a mistake was committed against millions of Kenyans who wanted to vote.
All right, and finally, Mr. Kosing, this looks to some like a bid to justify really the IEBC's decision to declare the winner of the election without an election having happened in 25 constituencies across the country, which constitutionally would warrant, would impose questions on the legitimacy of this election.
Yes.
Right. So is it a bit then to justify that decision by IEBC?
For us, remember, I'm coming from Jubilee point of view. That is very important for you to understand. Number two, I also come from a background that 7.4 million people came to vote for Uhuru Kenyatta. Are we together?
Yes.
Number two is that for those 25 constituencies that never carried an election, it was not a willingness. So it cannot constitute to say that you can invalidate elections using subversion. There is no way. And that is why I'm raising those issues. First of all, to be understood that was an illegality. An illegality was committed on 26 to make sure that 25 constituencies never voted. That was not willingness. And I think the people of Kenya understand this. That was not an issue of willingness. It was an issue of subversion. And therefore, that needs to be adjudicated. That needs to be understood from the basis that it was a subversion. And because of the subversion, it was an illegality. And therefore, the Electoral Commission tried everything to make sure that infrastructure for election was provided for in 25 constituencies. And that will be considered as having been done. So if militias were used to make sure that the Electoral Commission never did that, it was the problem and the mistake of militia. And who had decided who had the militia? It is NASA. So NASA must carry the problem. It's not the Electoral Commission, it's not Uhuru Kenyatta.
All right. Finally, Mr. Kosing, what would be the impact of either outcome of this petition by the court?
The impact is, the most important impact is that the court should appreciate that some mistakes were committed on 26 to make sure that Kenyans of 25 constituencies never voted. That needs to be on record. And who did the mistake? It is not IEBC. It is not us who voted for Uhuru Kenyatta. It is NASA. And therefore, NASA was, if you were to look at it from a layman point of view, they were looking for evidence to come and challenge the election. So once that is appreciated that it was an illegality committed by the other side to try to come and challenge the validity, then anybody bringing questions of validity must be charged or must be understood from that basis that they are the ones who made sure that the election was not done in the 25 constituencies. And therefore, they have no clean hands.
All right.